is going on? I am back on the beaches. I know, crazy as it sounds absolutely insane for me to be back on the beach, but here I am. I'm here, Felixstowe, fishing a place called the Manor. Now, it's midday, tide turned from high tide at around about 10 o'clock this morning, so we're looking about 2 hours down, but I know the rays have been coming out. Now, Christmas has just gone, and I sat there and I thought I really need to get back into my sea fishing. You know, I'm still doing carp fishing, love my carp fishing, but as a lot of you will know who watch this, sea fishing at one point was my forte. You know, I loved it, I did really well at it. It was, my home was on the beach, I love being here. So yeah, I'm back down here. I've travelled 5 minutes from my house, and looking at the weather, like I say, it's January, the rays are in. I've seen reports of a few come out, and you couldn't get any better weather than this. I'll show you around in a minute on the beach that I'm sitting on, but it is spot on. I've put my first cast out already. I just had a few twitches, definitely look like a whiting, just a bang, bang, bang. You know, I'm waiting for the ray. Ray bites are normally slow pulls. It'll either slowly go over, or it will just spring back and drop dead as they move the lead. Now, like I say, even if I catch a whiting today, I don't mind. It's a fish from the beach. So yeah, anyway, let's crack on. Let's see if we can get something, and let's see if I can start my 2023 beach fishing campaign with a bang. I mean, come on, just look at the conditions today. Bright clear skies, flat calm water. The wind is blowing about 15 miles an hour northwest, which for here puts it more or less directly off the land, flattening that sea completely off and making it ideal conditions for rays. Now, like I say, I used to fish here a heck of a lot at the Manor at Felixstowe, and I know the rays here normally feed 2 up before high tide. You can normally set your watch by it, and then they'll fish on the down tide, normally till around about an hour before high. Sometimes you can get them over low, hour before low, sorry. What can I say? Look at these conditions. It is absolutely spot on. It is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, I'll say it's the end of January, you would not expect it to be like this. The wind is blowing northwest. Now, northwest for this mark called the Manor in Felixstowe flattens that sea completely off. You know, you look out there, it could almost be tropical. The sun is beating down, it's warm as anything on my face, and you know, for me, if you're going to get a ray, these are the conditions. The rays here, they like it fairly flat calm. Don't get me wrong, you'll get them in the rough, but the rays will come in closer when it is flat calm. Now, it's not super deep here. You're talking, I don't know, I'm not going to go through depths, but I swim in here in the summer, and when you get around about 30 yards out, you normally then can't touch the bottom. So, you know, I think it sits like that quite a way out, but they're there. They do come in. They do come in. But it is absolutely stunning. What a day. Now, I'll just show you my, this is the setup I'm using today. As you can see, single fixed spool rod. Many of you who watched my videos in the past will know that I love using single rods. Am I lazy? Maybe. Or is it just because I like to focus all my attention on the one rod? Now, it's a Yuki Bosphorus rod that I'm using. It's quite a heavy rod. I would rather be using something a bit lighter than this, to be honest with you, so if I do get something, I feel a bit of a fight. But at the end of the day, it's all I've got left from my sea fishing tackle. Obviously, I went through a bit of a idiot phase a little while back where I sold all my sea fishing tackle, bar this rod, just in case I want to start up again. And yeah, I'm back on again. Now, I'm using the Yuki fixed spool reel. I'm using 80-pound braid. I do prefer braid. You know, I love my braid fishing when I'm fishing heavier lines. You feel everything through it. If you get stuck, you feel you pull yourself out more. You know, you can pull out of the snags a bit better. And I'm fishing that to a pulley pennel. Now, I'll go through the rig with you in a little while, later on in the video. Single hook pulley pennel, small baits. I'll go through all my baiting setup as well with you in a little while. But yeah, like I say, it's perfect for rays today. I really do hope I get one. I'm probably only going to fish down till about 4 o'clock, something like that, probably just to low water, see if anything turns up then, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But I had that bite a little while ago. I haven't had any more knocks on it since, to be honest with you. A bit weird. I reckon it could have just been a whiting grabbing the bait, using a 3/0 hook, so I'm hoping that keeps the smaller pins away. But yeah, let's see, let's crack on, let's see. I'll come back to you in a little while. Right, well that first bait has been in the water now probably around about 25 minutes. I'm using small baits. The tide is rather large today, so they're going to be washing out quite quick. Let's have a look and see if there's anything on there. Like I say, I've seen a few trembles on the rod tip. Nothing really, to be honest with you, to signify there is a fish on there. But I'm going to reel it in, I'm going to stick another bait on, and let's see if I've got anything on there. Well, there you go, first cast. I thought I had a tremble on there, and there it is. Sea locusts, otherwise known as whiting. If people out there do not know what whiting are, they are a shellfish, absolutely prevalent within this seas around the UK. You know, this is a fairly small one, don't get me wrong, they do get a bit bigger, but they are what I call locusts. They come in, they absolutely decimate an area. You can have a lot of these in a session at night, you know. Very, 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 there's millions of them, you know, there's absolutely millions of them. But what I'll do is I'll get this back, get another rig sent out. I'm gonna have to fight through these, I reckon, today to find the rays. But, you know, first sea fish, 2023, little whiting. You see his eye? He's got a bit of a funky eye as well, don't know what's happened there. I'll get him put back and let's get another rig sent out. Right, that's that whiting unhooked. Let's get this rig out. See if we can find a ray. I reckon them whiting are going to be pretty ferocious today. It didn't take long for that one to find the bait at all, to be honest with you. So let's have a look. See if we can get another one out. Because I'm on braid, that tide is fairly pumping through. It's not massively pumping through, but it's pumping through with a little bit of pace. So what I'm doing, I'm whacking it up tight. Because I'm on braid is very tight, there's no stretching it. So basically, if I was to tighten up to it, that could pull it out. That would then bounce it round, and because of the arc, it would bounce it round closer in because it's tight, you know, it just swings like a pendulum. So what I do is I whack it out. I always leave it slightly loose, give it a minute or two, and then I'll slowly tighten down to it, just so the gripper can find itself in the sand or the sediment, whatever's out there. It is sand out there. Settle down, tighten up to it, and once it's bedded in, you tighten up. That tide is, you know, if it picks up and there's weed pick up on the line, it will pull it out, but 9 times out of 10, that will then be set where it is, and everything should be fine. Let's see if we can get a ray on this cast, or if it's just going to be whiting. If it's a whiting fest, I don't really mind, you know. It's a video, getting the sea fishing videos back out. The carp fishing videos are obviously still going to keep coming out as well, along with other ideas for fishing. I've got a feeder rod, which I love doing as well. Probably do some videos on that. But yeah, let's see if we can find another fish. Got a few hours left yet. I'll go through the bait in a minute with you. As you can see, it's slackened off a little bit. Now I'm going to tighten it back up, keep slackening up slightly. You just want a slight bend in the tip of the rod. You don't want too much of a bend in the rod. You won't really see the bites as much. Too little of a bend, you won't see the bites either, because obviously they'll be pulling against slack line. Now let's see if it slackens off again. It's going slack again. Now I'm not sure if that's because the lead is slowly moving in the tide. Normally if the lead's moving in the tide, you'll see the rod tip pull over really slowly, and then it'll bounce off and go slack, and as soon as it goes slack it'll pull over slowly again, where the lead's catching, releasing, catching, releasing. Now if you can see the rod tip is just literally sitting there straight up. So I did have a heck of a thump on it after I cast it out, but there's been nothing else really since. I'm just hoping something else comes back now while I'm on the camera here. But clouds are coming in, looking like a little bit of rain. There weren't any rain predicted today, but it's looking like there could be a little bit come in, to be honest with you. It's cooled down a little bit. As soon as that sun goes behind them clouds, it absolutely cools down to anything. There we go. See that little tremble? That's a whiting. There's another whiting on the rod. So what we'll do is we'll give it a few minutes. It might not be hooking itself, it might be attacking the top of the bait. Soon find out if it's hooked itself, because it will continuously keep banging. As soon as you know you've had 2 or 3 bites within a short space of time, you know that fish is hooked. So right, give it a little while, I'll reel it in and let's see if there's something else on there. Right, now while we're sitting here waiting for that extra bite to come, I don't ever hit my bites straight away with sea fishing. Sea fishing, using big hooks, nearly always using barb. Some people use barbless, don't get me wrong, it's up to them. Always use barb when sea fishing, and the fish will hook themselves. You know, there's no point striking every bite unless your rod folds over or slackens right off, because the fish could be attacking it, they could come back. You know, you might keep missing bites if you strike every time, you know, and you see people strike into it. You know, it's up to you, that's what you want to do. But me, I wind down in, because 99.9% of the time that fish is hooked. You know, you've got big 5, 6, 7 ounce weight sitting there. That fish pulled against that weight, that hook is going to embed. That fish is going to be hooked no matter what bite you see. And if you strike into the bite, you know, you've got a lot of weight on the end of that lead. You could bounce the fish, you know, you could bounce the fish. But anyway, right, rig wise, pulley pennel. Pulley pennel is probably one of the most common types of rig you'll hear used in sea fishing. Now, it's a great rig for fishing for larger fish, like your rays, your smooth hounds, things like that. You have pennel variations, which are 2 hooks, but I'm using a single hook variation. Now, this here is a pulley pennel. Basically, got 6 ounce lead, Gemini splashdown, 80 pound snood. Hook wise, I'm using a Frio Seaglow Cato hook, very sharp, very good. 20 pound snood, Amnesia snood, and then I've got a swivel at the very top. Now, what it is, the rig comes in, say you cast out, the rig will always enter the water first. No 2 ways about it. The rig will carry everything into the water. As soon as it hits the water, you've got a thing called a splashdown. Now you can have imps, you can have there's so many ways on the market of doing bait release clips, but this holds it in place, keeps your rig streamlined on the cast. It's not going to twist, it's going to hit the water, and then when it hits the water, boff. You see that? The pressure of the water hits a little plate there, pops it off. Now, your rig then sits in the water, your lead will sit there, and your rig sits away from the top. Now it's called a pulley pennel because that's how your rig sits in the water. You know, your line is attached where my finger is, your snood comes off. Now, when you get a fish, it pulls up, and your lead is then against your swivel, where your line is attached. That keeps it away from any snags that are in the water, because you're literally bringing it along. It's not dangling down. The angle of your retrieve will keep that lead up in the water. You know, it is perfect for fishing fairly rough ground, but like I say, it's also good for fishing clean ground as well. For fish like rays, smooth hounds, you have that knowledge that your lead is not going to get caught, you're not going to get snagged up. Now, single hook. I like to use a single hook on most of my rigs, mainly because British sea fish, they haven't really got big mouths. You know, the days of catching 20, 30 pound cod are gone. You know, they've got mouths on them like that. You know, for them you can use double hooks, pennels, etc, etc. I like to use a single hook. Less chance of it catching. You know, use a single hook and a small bait. For rays, I will normally only use a thumb size bait. I am not one for these massive baits that you see like that going all the way up the line. Mainly because I don't see the point in it. What is the point? One, it's a waste of bait. Yes, you're putting scent in the water, but the fish's mouths, you know, they're not big enough to really get a bait like that within their mouths. You know, and you've got that gap. Say I have a bait on it. See some people, you know, they do baits like that. Hook there, hook there. If that fish comes and grabs a bait in between your hooks, you're getting a bite, you're not catching the fish. What is the point in that, you know? Like I say, I'll use a single hook, thumb size bait down there. Rays have got small mouths. Smooth hounds have got small mouths. Small enough to get a single thumb size bait in. You know, you've got to be fairly active when you're fishing. You know, you're using a small bait, it will wash out quicker than a massive bait. But there's an old saying, big fish can take small baits and small hooks, and big, you know, small fish cannot take big baits and big hooks. So you could be missing fish because they can't get that bait in their mouth. You know, even some of the rays, you know, their mouths are like that and they're like that, you know, they're not big at all. But that's just my own personal preference. Everyone has their own way of fishing. But that is the pulley pennel. Now I'm going to bait it up in a minute. I'm going to get another rig set up, sitting on the tripod, just in case, you know, it does kick off. Can't see it kicking off, but if I get a ray, I really want to swap over, smack that bait straight out, get fishing again straight away, because sometimes they do hang around in pairs, sometimes they do hang around together. So if you get one, they could be moving through, you ought to get another one. That's the same with smooth hounds. I mean, obviously I'm going to do smooth hound videos in the summer, but smooth hounds, I like to keep 1 or 2 rigs made up, because you can get some action. You know, it can be bam, 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 fish, 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 and then they're gone. That pack comes through and it's gone. But we're not fishing for smooth hounds today, so that is a story for another day. Right, I'm going to show you how I bait this up next, and then we'll reel in the rig, see if there's anything on there, and get this rig sent out. Right, so I'm ray fishing, British waters. What is he using for bait, you ask? Is he using bluey? Is he using sand eel? Is he using peeler crab? No. What I'm using is, went to Morrison's today, picked up a pack of sardines. Look at that, eh? £1.32. Sardines are my favourite go-to ray bait in the UK waters, especially around here. Say down south I use blueies and sand eel and stuff like that. Sand eel I don't really find works too well up here, because we don't have the waters that hold the numbers of sand eels the fish will be feeding on as they have down south. But sardines up here, sardines are a mega bait. They're super roily, they're super greasy, they release a lot of scent in the water, they're cheap. Don't get me wrong, they are quite soft, you have to wrap them quite loosely, but they are a very, very oily bait. They release a lot of scent in that water, they attract the fish in. I've had some good hits of rays on sardines, and it's a cheap fishing session. Like I say, this afternoon I'm doing for £1.32. So times like these, obviously when the weather is, when the times are hard with money and stuff like that, you know, a lot of people are struggling. You can get out for very, very cheap and catch some fish. Now, sardines, snip the tail off. I'm going to send this out as a bait, and then I snip it off probably about there. Like I say, it's not a massive bait at all. And then what I'll do is I'll get my scissors and I'll just run my scissors up the belly, and then I'll get my fillet knife and I'll literally just slowly cut down to create a flap. See that? It's now flapped open. Now I will get my 3/0 hook through the bottom of the flap. Want the point at the bottom, because that is where the streamlineness will be. And then with my baits, I will fold them with the flesh out. flesh out on that. Yes, it will release the scent a lot quicker, but there will be more oils, more scent released from this. Now, wrap this up very lightly. Like I say, you don't want to go too crazy with it, because it will, round the bottom, put quite a few turns around there, and then slowly wrap it up. Like I say, it's a very, very soft bait. Very soft bait. You've got to be very careful that you're not cutting into it, you're not losing, you know, you're not messing up the bait. Come around there. Is it slippery? Yes, it is. But, like I say, it will hold on. It will be perfect when it's sitting on the bottom and them juices are coming out. Now, don't pull it too tight, just nick it off. And that is my ray bait. Hook point is showing prevalent, you know, the fish will come and take it. That hook will embed itself within the fish. It's not going to get masked by anything, and it's fairly tight on there. I will now get that set up and get ready to cast it out on the next bait. Like I say, you're talking roughly thumb size. That's my perfect bait for a ray. A lot of people do it differently, but that's just how I do it. That rod keeps slackening off. Don't know if there's a fish on there. I mean, the bait's been out a little while now, so I'm now going to reel it in, see if there's anything on there. It's been about 20-25 minutes. Let's have a reel in, let's see if there's anything there. Yep, just as I thought. Another little sea locust. Not very big. Little baby one, slinky, what we call pin whiting because they're so small. I'll get it thrown back, rod's out. We'll keep plugging away. We'll get through them and we will try and get a flat dogfish for you. Now, don't know if you can see this, but watch this when I turn around. I'm surrounded by sea chickens. There's a little plover there, bless him, that's cute. But the sea chickens, aka Steven Seagull, are out in force. And a little while ago, I wandered down the beach, turned around, and one of them had one of my sardines in its mouth. And they keep, every time I turn around, they keep wandering towards me, like him, That little bugger there, ultimate culprit number one, public enemy. I think that's the one that came and tried to get my sardine. I had to chase him up the beach. He's now going down because I think he plucked one of the whiting I caught out of the sea. But yeah, always good fun fighting with the seagulls. Don't mind foxes. Down at Chelsea I had foxes before and I was actually feeding them, and one curled up underneath my tripod, which was absolutely lovely. But sea chickens, nah, don't like sea chickens. That old rod tip's twitching away again. There's going to be another whiting on there. Let's get it in. Or not. Now that is quite a good sign. That to me says that the tide has dropped off. The fish are no longer hooking themselves as easy against the bait, which means that the small whiting will be going for the bait, which are the plucks we're seeing, but it means that the rays now have a better chance because they're not hooking themselves. Just means that from now on I'll leave it out even longer. I'll sit back until I see a more positive bite on the rod tip. Getting some slight trembles on the rod tip now. I reckon that is white and still plucking away at the bait. No definite pulls downs or slack liners or anything yet. I mean, the tide is dropping. I think it's now bum, 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 ba-dum. This thing lows at 4, halfway down, roughly around about halfway down, maybe a little bit over. But what a day. Hey, this is just so relaxing sitting here. It makes me realise how much I missed it, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, you lose interest in something and then you don't realise how much you miss it until you actually come back to it. I think the last proper video I did from the beach was about 4 years ago. I mean, I did a little boat fishing one last year, but I never, you know, I haven't really had the urge. I was out once, twice a week at one point fishing on the beach, but you know, then I started the carp fishing. Love the carp fishing, but you know, there will be a lot more sea fishing videos coming out. I've got some people to see who I haven't seen for a long time, mates all over the country, you know, who I used to fish with and speak to and always said I'd go and see. This is going to be the year to do it, so you'll see a lot more videos coming from me. I'll say halfway down though, still got sea chickens hanging around me waiting for some food, so I've got to keep an eye out for them. But there's always time for a ray. I'm going to fish it down to the bottom, like I say, bottom roughly around about 4 o'clock. So I'll fish it down to that, see what happens. Probably only be a few more whiting, you never know. But with the weather the way it is, I'm happy catching whiting in weather like this. You know, it's nice. It's nice just to get out, blow the cobwebs off, shake the rust off, and yeah, get ready for the warmer weather on the east coast. Because the warmer weather on the east coast where I fish, Suffolk, Norfolk, Essex, the summer fishing here now is where it's at. You know, the winter fishing, it used to be better on this coast with the codlin, but now the codlin are gone. It's all about the hounds, the rays. Even had a few places turn up in the last few years, so you never know, they could be become a feature soon. But yeah, I say stop shaking. That's why I'm not hitting every bite that I'm seeing, because the tide slackened off. Like I said earlier, the fish aren't hooking themselves. You know, when the tide's flowing, the whiting grab that bait, the hook slams in their mouth because of the force of the tide pulling the fish back. But the minute they can mouth it, they can drop it. Whereas a ray will settle on it, a ray will eat it, a ray will put it in its mouth, and then it'll try and move off, and that hook will then well, the fish will be hooked in theory. But let's hope one turns up. Like I say, conditions couldn't be more better for it, so we'll see. We'll see. I'll come back in a little while and see if there's anything on the end of this when I reel it in. I'm leaving this one in a little bit longer, leaving this one in for another 10 minutes, half an hour each session there, half an hour soak each cast. Like I say, tide's dropped off, so it gives it more time for the rays to find it. Right, I just thought I'd literally show you the place I'm fishing. A place called Felixstowe, Suffolk coast, easterly faced them. When you get big easterly winds here, the place becomes a bit of a gnarly mess, to be honest with you. Southwesterlies, it will get really weedy after a southwesterly, but the area I'm fishing is a manor. There's lots of marks in Felixstowe. Over the next God knows how many videos, I'll take you to different marks, introduce you to different places, but this one is the manor. Now that there, mind my finger, is the main promenade. Now you walk along the main promenade to the right and come to a set of railings which you can see there. The first set of groins there, I call it Ray Bay. That is a prolific ray spot, but there is someone in there. Now you've got a caravan site here, but all these groins along here, all the way down there, all produce rays. All really sandy ground. You can see the ground there, it's shingly sandy. When it goes out into the sea it turns more sandy. Clean ground, you're not going to lose much tackle. Very, very easy place to fish. So if you're local to sort of Suffolk and you want to find somewhere to fish in the summer, which is very easy, where you're not going to lose much tackle, Felixstowe Manor is the place to come. You know, like I say, it is a very, very easy venue to fish. Easy access. You've got a car park just at the end of the railings, just in there, and then further down there you've got another car park. I call it the Butts. It could well be known as that on Google Maps, don't quite know. Parking is quite cheap, so nice easy access if you're an elderly person or less able to walk. You literally park up and you can just walk over and straight down onto the beach, and you've got loads of places here to fish. In the summer it becomes popular, but this time of year I think I've only seen me and one other fishing. So yeah, lovely place to fish. Ain't had no more bites for a little while. It seems to have dropped off a little bit, but you never know with the rays, they could come on the feed at any time, so I'm going to keep plugging away. Well, I don't know what to say really. It's 2 o'clock, 2 hours before low, and it's completely died a death at the minute. It really has. I've had no rattles, I've had no indications at all of any fish. You know, I'm hitting it out there, I'm hitting it even though it's coming down to low water and the water is emptying out quite quick. You know, I'm getting it out there, so there is some depth still out there where I'm casting to, but nothing. It happens in sea fishing, you know, the tide hits certain stages, the fish go off the feed, the fish move off. Any second it could pick back up, it really, really could. But I'm just sitting in this sun, and this sun is fantastic, you know, this winter sun. Don't get me wrong, when the sun goes behind the clouds, it gets really cold. You can definitely feel the cold and when the sun goes behind the clouds, and like I say, the wind's starting to pick up as well, and the wind seems to have swung a little bit around more northerly, and that wind, rather than coming over the top of me, is now cutting along the beach a little bit, and I can feel the chill on that. So I'll definitely be out of here before the sun goes down. But like I say, with the sun out, it's absolutely fantastic. It's so relaxing, you know. I feel so relaxed sitting here, just letting all of life's, any little problems you have in life, any little worries, when you go fishing, they just ebb away. You know, you have that feel of relaxation, feel of calm come over you. And fishing is so good for the mind, so good for the mind, the body and the soul. You know, it's one of those things that once you have it in you, you know, you can start from a young age, you can start any age, to be honest with you. Once you've got it in you and it becomes a part of you, fishing is a part of your soul. You know, it can be people's happy place, and to me it is my happy place. And being away from the beach for so long, don't get me wrong, being by the lake is lovely, but being back down the beach, it makes you realise, you know, your happy place is fishing on the beach. And roll on the summer, roll on more species turning up. Obviously, you know, January to February, March time, I think all around the UK it is the desolate time of year. You know, you have your winter species. The codling aren't about as much anymore. Your winter species come. You're left with whiting, sometimes pouting. You know, in the dark, don't get me wrong, if I was to come down here in the dark tonight, I would bag up on whiting. You know, it would be a whiting fest because they come in because they don't feel as... That looked like a ray bite. That actually looked like a ray bite then. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that tip slowly pull down twice and come back. It wasn't the tide. I've got 2 little doggies coming to see me. Hello, little doggos. Hello. Hello, little doggos. No. No. What are you doing? Hello. Hello. Yeah, that looked like a ray bite. I might be wrong. But it did look like a... There's a little doggo sniffing my sardines. That's alright though, it's fine. It's fine. Hello, little doggo. Say hello. Yeah, so you know, like I say, it might have been a trick of the eye, but I'm pretty sure I did see something then which slowly pulled down. But yeah, I'll stop going on about that. If it progresses into anything else, I'll come back. Hello. And we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm rambling a little bit now, but I'm soaking up this sun. I'm relaxing. I've caught some whiting. A fish is a fish at the end of the day. I'm shaking the rust off, getting the old cogs and the old gear working again. You know, it's like riding a bike. You know, you go back to it and you do pick it up more or less straight away. And like I say, roll on the summer. Roll on the summer. Tell you, son, that temperature is really starting to plummet now. Really is. I might have one more cast after this and call it a day. It's gone very quiet, very quiet. But we'll see what happens. Look at the size of that sea chicken. He is literally stalking me. And like I said earlier, whenever I go down to cast out, he comes running straight over to my bait and I have to turn around and shoo him away. Clever little bugger. And again, this time of year, I suppose in the summer, you have lots of people here with fish and chips feeding them. They're only trying to get food, aren't they? Bless them. But stinky, horrible things. Horrible things, to be honest with you. He's a sneaky little bugger. Look at him. He's giving me the evil eye. I'll feed you in a little while, Stephen, before we go home. And that just goes to show you the generosity of the people in sea fishing. You know, sea fishing, yes, you do meet the occasional arsehole on the beach, don't get me wrong, but the majority of people in sea fishing are really nice people. The gentleman next door to me has literally just, can't see them, giving me about £1/2 a lug. He's leaving, he can't use his bait, so he's literally come and given me a load of lugworm. Bless him, what an absolute legend. So what I've done, I've wrapped about 5 or 6 in a sausage on my last cast. This cast's got another 5 minutes of soaking, and then I'm going to whack out lugworm sausage and just see if I can pick up one last bite, to be honest with you. You never know, could happen, could be something out there. I mean, obviously the whiting are there, but you never know. I mean, using a Frio as well, but the dabs will still take a Frio, trust me, I've seen it happen. So I'll let this one soak, I'll put out that last cast, we'll see if we can get one last fish on the lugworm that I've just been given. Well, that's the last cast in. I started to get rattles on that cast. typical whiting bites. The sun is setting, the whiting are coming back in force, the locusts are back in. They're going to be absolutely wiping the area out tonight. You know, if I was to come down here tonight with some worm baits scratching away, I'd probably get triple shots every time, I reckon. But you know, not a massively productive session, but we still had some fish. You know, the rust has been shaken off, the bug is back. You know, I'm back on the beach. I love it, absolutely love it, and it was just nice to be out enjoying the January sun. Like I say, it is January on our coast. It's a dead time of year, not the best time to start the videos up, but why not? At the end of the day, might as well come out, give you a little vlog from being on the beach. Thank you very much for watching. That is all I've got to say. You know, I really appreciate you watching the videos. If you really like the video, please subscribe, give it a like, even share it across the social media platforms, you know, just to try and get the channel going again, try and get the channel rocking. There's going to be a lot more freshwater, a lot more saltwater fishing this year. I will be traveling the country. You know, I've got a lot of mates, like I said earlier, from different parts of the country who I haven't seen for a while, because obviously I moved away from the sea fishing. There'll be smooth hounds, there will be rays, there'll be plaice. There might even be some other species involved as well in the sea fishing, and of course, like I said, the carp will keep coming as well on the channel. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. You take care of yourselves, and I will see you by the water sometime soon.